truth claims made in both movies and also examining visual, oral, thematic, chronological accuracies of both movies, and then making my own assessment about how each film lived up to the truth claims that they both made. So let's start off with Anne of a Thousand Days, the truth claim that it made. Anne of a Thousand Days made no explicit truth claim at the beginning or the end of the movie. The only claim that it makes at the end of the movie is that it's based upon a screenplay by Bridget Boland, and therefore the only obligation the film has is to live up to the standards of the screenplay that it's originally based upon. Now, the truth claim made in the other Boland Girl, just like the other movie, no explicit truth claim was made at any point during the film. At the end, the film informed the viewers what happened with all the characters, what became of their lives after the events of the movie. So it leaves the viewer to believe that although the movie might have been a little bit dramatized, that these are based upon real characters, and the events of this movie had real consequences during that time. So in my opinion, this would categorize the other Boland Girl as a historical fiction. So let's get to the visual accuracy of Anne of a Thousand Days. I believe the film is accurate in its representations of people's clothing at the time, especially the royal family. As you'll see in my sorry, my computer was sleeping, but as you'll see in this upcoming clip, the royal family wears very extravagant clothing and jewelry, and as well as the women, who the dresses that they wore are also very extravagant, but they differ a lot from dresses you would see today because they're not as flirtatious or revealing or exposing as some dresses you would see today. They're very puffy, big dresses that cover just about every inch of skin on the women. You don't see a lot of people who might have been a little bit poorer than the royal family. You mainly just see the royal family in mostly both of the films. So it doesn't really draw a distinction clothing-wise between the different classes of people, but the movie is about the royal family, so that's not surprising. The rustic brick buildings that are depicted in the movie also represent accurately the style of buildings during the time of the Renaissance. Most of the film actually took indoors, though, so you don't really get to see a lot of the exteriors of these buildings, but they're very big stone halls. You can also, I'm going to touch on the oral aspects. You can even hear the loud echoes of people speaking in these halls, which is also a nice touch. I'm going to show you a short clip from Anne of a Thousand Days. As you can see in this clip, many of the characters are wearing, as I said, very extravagant clothing. That's King Henry, excuse me, as he's speaking to his assembly, and you can see everyone there is wearing very expensive clothing. Okay, so visual accuracy of the other Boland Girl. Here's my next clip. So I thought this film was very similar in its visual aspects to Anne of a Thousand Days, but as you have seen the movie, it's obviously a very more modern take on the events that took place. The film was also effective in depicting, as I said before, the wealth of the royal family by the robes, the dresses, all the other types of clothing that they wear. It differed from Anne of a Thousand Days slightly in how the film was shot. It was a lot of, crowd panning camera shots. There's a lot of shaky cameras during battles, during people riding their horses. You'll see in this clip here. You can see during these shots, very different from Anne of a Thousand Days. You can see the crowd panning shot there, camera moving a lot. In Anne of a Thousand Days, it's a very more simplistic way of filming a lot more stationary. So this was shot very much differently than Anne of a Thousand Days. I thought the lighting was done much better than Anne of a Thousand Days. Each scene also seemed to flow more seamlessly. I'll touch on this later, but I thought Anne of a Thousand Days might have plotted a little bit and might have been slow pacing with its storytelling, but I thought the other Bowling Girl did a much better job at that. Although these critiques may not be fair, because obviously Anne of a Thousand Days is a much older film than the other Bowling Girl, it's still worth noting. I graded the visual accuracy of the other Bowling Girl 9 out of 10, and I also gave the visual accuracy of Anne of a Thousand Days a 9 out of 10 as well. So, sorry. So, in my, I'm sorry. Okay, so, the oral accuracy of Anne of a Thousand Days, I thought was done very well. I thought the music exuded royalty, wealth, and class. The instruments played were very accurate to what kind of music would be played during the Renaissance. There was a lot of lutes, harps, flutes, recorders, and I thought they were played very well. I also thought the actors did well in depicting the characters' accents, and I think obviously some of the characters were from England themselves, so it might have been obviously a lot easier for them to do so, but it's still worth noting that the accents that they were portraying were very accurate. Besides, during the events that the king were a part of, there wasn't a lot of background music in Anne of a Thousand Days. As you've seen in the film, it lets a lot of like the background music stand on its the background natural sounds stand on its own, such as like doors creaking, kids playing, things of that nature. I thought it let the scenes be a little bit more intimate. It allows the viewers to appreciate the plot more. Like I said before, I think it also at some points made the film kind of drag on a little bit, so I graded it a 7 out of 10 for the oral accuracy of Anne of a Thousand Days. So this is just a short clip of the music that was played. As you can hear, pretty accurate towards the type of Renaissance music that was being played. So oral accuracy of the other Bowling Girl, I also thought the oral accuracy of this film was pretty strong. Each character did a good job speaking their accents. Again, some of them were from England, but it was still a good portrayal. I thought the film also made a good effort to use natural sounds as well throughout the film. I thought the music differed slightly from Anne of a Thousand Days because it was a little bit more modernized version of Renaissance music. It's more classical than typical Renaissance music, and I thought the audio was a lot better, but I definitely noticed that difference. I also thought this movie did a very good job of using a lot of echo when people were in great big halls and they were speaking. I thought that was a good touch. I would grade it an 8 out of 10.
So I beg you.
So you can hear in this clip, while she's speaking, you can hear the echo of her speaking to the great big hall. So the thematic accuracy for Anne of a Thousand Days, I thought the thematic aspects of the film added to the overall accuracy of the film. The concept of marriage was obviously a very big focal point of the film, and the cultural norms of that time were obviously very different than what we see today. And in the beginning of the movie, Anne is set to marry a very young man, a man that isn't a part of the royal family. She's very in love with him, and the king then steps in and basically cancels their marriage and has this priest that I'll show you in this upcoming clip inform them that the king would wish for Anne to become his bride. I feel the film did a good job of describing the cultural norms of that time, of materializing women, making them like objects that you can possess and that are your property, and you could take them and trade them as you please. And as you'll see in this clip, that's exactly what they did. When Anne tells the king that she will not fall in love with him, she also acknowledges that he may destroy her life and that of the person that she loves. So it shows how much power that the royal family had at that time. And I'm going to show you this short little clip.
Refuses you permission to marry.
So he informs him that the king refuses their permission to marry.
It's your affairs of state. I was wrong to encourage you, Percy. The king in his greater wisdom wishes you to marry one of the daughters of the Earl of Shrewsbury.
So, long story short, he informs him that the king does not approve of the marriage and would like to marry him himself. So in the other Bowling Girl, I thought the film's thematic accuracies compared well to Anne of a Thousand Days. It was pretty comparable, pretty similar to Anne of a Thousand Days. During a scene in this movie, the idea of King Henry wanting his marriage annulled was brought up, and we see people talking about the possibility of civil war because that would mean the breaking away of the Roman Catholic Church, which is being discussed. I'll just show a short snippet of that.
Somehow, I need to make him understand that this will be worth it when I am his queen and give him a son.
I know you.
I'm going to cut it short just for time's sake. But so basically they were discussing that if this happens, then they would have to break away from the Roman Catholic Church, very controversial subject at that time. And then I'll show you this last clip. Chronological accuracy, I thought in Anne of a Thousand Days was okay, but it was definitely one of the weakest parts of the film. The events of the plot took place over a long period of time, but you wouldn't have known that because the seasons never really change, and the people's clothings never really changed to accommodate towards the changing seasons. Also, there's one scene in particular that stuck out like a sore thumb. I have it right here. Henry is upset that he does not have a son, and Anne refuses to sleep with her husband unless somebody who opposed her queenship, she wanted him dead. And she told him that if this happens, then she'll give Henry what he wants, which is a son. And I'll just show you.
I can be angrier than you've seen me yet. I know where your heart is. It's not with me.
What has love got to do with the getting of a king?
So they're arguing about how he does not have a son yet. And 2 scenes later, after agreeing to killing the person that she wishes, she has a kid already. They don't even show any progression of her pregnancy whatsoever. And I thought that was that stuck out like a sore thumb, and it took away a lot from the overall accuracy of the film, so I'd grade that a 4 out of 10. Now, the thematic accuracies of the other Bowling Girl I thought were pretty similar to Anne of a Thousand Days because it dealt with the idea of marriage, annulment, religion, the idea of the royal family exuding their power, and I thought that film also did a very good job of describing the consequences of breaking away from the Roman Catholic Church and how sacred the idea of marriage was to people at that time and how frowned upon it was for people to annul and divorce their marriages because it was a sin under the Bible of the Roman Catholic Church. So I thought that film did a pretty similar good job with its chronological accuracy as Anne of a Thousand Days, but it didn't have scenes like I described like that stuck out to me that kind of broke away from the storytelling. So in conclusion, I think that Anne of a Thousand Days, although it has that scene that stuck out to me that kind of took away from the overall accuracy of the film, I thought from a historical perspective it told a better story and lived up to its truth claim better than the other Bowling Girl, because I felt that the other Bowling Girl kind of took a historical fiction approach to its filmmaking, while Anne of a Thousand Days tried more so to tell a more accurate representation of what happened between these characters. And I personally enjoyed Anne of a Thousand Days a lot more than the other Bowling Girl. So that's my analysis of the 2 films. I hope you enjoyed it, and I enjoyed both films as well, so thank you.